Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind.
And when you look at the brain, it's obvious that the two cerebral cortices are completely separate from one another. For those of you who understand computers, our right hemisphere functions like a parallel processor, while our left hemisphere functions like a serial processor. The two hemispheres do communicate with one another through the corpus callosum, which is made up of some 300 million axonal fibers. But other than that, the two hemispheres are completely separate. Because they process information differently, each of our hemispheres think about different things, they care about different things, and dare I say, they have very different personalities. Our right human hemisphere is all about this present moment. It's all about right here, right now. Our right hemisphere, it thinks in pictures, and it learns kinesthetically through the movement of our bodies. Information in the form of energy streams in simultaneously through all of our sensory systems, and then it explodes into this enormous collage of what this present moment looks like, what this present moment smells like and tastes like, what it feels like, and what it sounds like. I am an energy being connected to the energy all around me through the consciousness of my right hemisphere. We are energy beings connected to one another through the consciousness of our right hemispheres as one human family. And right here, right now, we are brothers and sisters on this planet, here to make the world a better place. And in this moment, we are perfect, we are whole, and we are beautiful.
So, here were some sensational headlines from 2015. Were Aborigines the first Americans? Native tribes in the Amazon found to be more closely related to indigenous Australians. And it speaks of a genetic study that reveals Amazonian tribes. 3 of them share more DNA with Australian Aborigines than any other present-day population. And the study suggests that Aboriginal ancestors may have colonized South America. It challenges theories of how Native Americans first arrived in the Americas. Well, of course, this is the Daily Mail, so, you know, we can expect sensational headlines. However, in this case, they're spot on, and the sensational headlines reveal even more sensational scientific research behind it. And this is a little extract from the scientific research. there's been this long-held view that there was a single origin for all Native American peoples, and that nevertheless that view has been challenged by some. But advances in DNA technology are making these kind of explorations much more possible. And what's been discovered is this very puzzling connection between the peoples of Australasia, particularly Papua New Guinea, and certain tribes deep in the Amazon rainforest.
On the morning of the stroke, I woke up to a pounding pain behind my left eye. And it was the kind of pain, caustic pain, that you get when you bite into ice cream. And it just gripped me, and then it released me. And then it just gripped me, and then it released me. And it was very unusual for me to ever experience any kind of pain, so I thought, okay, I'll just start my normal routine. So I got up and I jumped onto my cardia glider, which is a full body, full exercise machine. And I'm jamming away on this thing, and I'm realizing that my hands look like primitive claws grasping onto the bar. And I thought, that's very peculiar. And I looked down at my body, and I thought, whoa, I'm a weird looking thing. And it was as though my consciousness had shifted away from my normal perception of reality, where I'm the person on the machine having the experience, to some esoteric space where I'm witnessing myself having this experience. And it was all very peculiar, and my headache was just getting worse. So I get off the machine, and I'm walking across my living room floor, and I realize that everything inside of my body has slowed way down. And every step is very rigid and very deliberate. There's no fluidity to my pace, and there's this constriction in my area of perception, so I'm just focused on internal systems. And I'm standing in my bathroom getting ready to step into the shower, and I could actually hear the dialogue inside of my body. I heard a little voice saying, okay, you muscles, you got to contract, and you muscles, you relax. And then I lost my balance, and I'm propped up against the wall. And I looked down at my arm, and I realized that I can no longer define the boundaries of my body. I can't define where I begin and where I end, because the atoms and the molecules of my arm blended with the atoms and molecules of the wall. And all I could detect was this energy. And I'm asking myself, what is wrong with me? What is going on? And in that moment, my brain chatter, my left hemisphere brain chatter, went totally silent. Just like someone took a remote control and pushed the mute button. Total silence. And at first I was shocked to find myself inside of a silent mind. But then I was immediately captivated by the magnificence of the energy around me. And because I could no longer identify the boundaries of my body, I felt enormous and expansive. I felt at one with all the energy that was, and it was beautiful there. And then all of a sudden, my left hemisphere comes back online, and it says to me, hey, we got a problem, we got to get some help. And I'm going, oh, I got a problem. So it's like, okay, I got a problem. But then I immediately drifted right back out into the consciousness, and I affectionately refer to this space as La La Land. But it was beautiful there. Imagine what it would be like to be totally disconnected from your brain chatter that connects you to the external world. So here I am in this space, and my job and any stress related to my job, it was gone. And I felt lighter in my body. And imagine all of the relationships in the external world and any stressors related to any of those, they were gone. And I felt this sense of peacefulness. And imagine what it would feel like to lose 37 years of emotional baggage. Oh, I felt euphoria. It was beautiful there. And then again, my left hemisphere comes online and it says, hey, you've got to pay attention. We've got to get help. And I'm thinking, I got to get help. I got to focus. So I get out of the shower and I mechanically dress and I'm walking around my apartment and I'm thinking, I got to get to work. Can I drive? And in that moment, my right arm went totally paralyzed by my side. Then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm having a stroke. And then the next thing my brain says to me is, wow, this is so cool. How many brain scientists have the opportunity to study their own brain from the inside out? And then it crosses my mind, but I'm a very busy woman. I don't have time for a stroke. It's like, okay, I can't stop the stroke from happening, so I'll do this for a week or two, and then I'll get back to my routine. Okay, so I got to call help. I got to call work. I couldn't remember the number at work. So I remembered in my office I had a business card with my number on it. So I go into my business room, and I pull out a 3-inch stack of business cards. And I'm looking at the card on top. And even though I could see clearly in my mind's eye what my business card looked like, I couldn't tell if this was my card or not, because all I could see were pixels. And the pixels of the words blended with the pixels of the background and the pixels of the symbols, and I just couldn't tell. And then I would wait for what I call a wave of clarity. And in that moment, I would be able to reattach to normal reality. And I could tell, that's not the card, that's not the card, that's not the card. It took me 45 minutes to get 1 inch down inside of that stack of cards. In the meantime, for 45 minutes, the hemorrhage is getting bigger in my left hemisphere. I do not understand numbers. I do not understand a telephone, but it's the only plan I have. So I take the phone pad and I put it right here. I take the business card, I put it right here, and I'm matching the shape of the squiggles on the card to the shape of the squiggles on the phone pad. But then I would drift back out into La La Land and not remember if when I come back if I'd already dialed those numbers. A while later, I'm riding in an ambulance from one hospital across Boston to Mass General Hospital, and I curl up into a little fetal ball. And just like a balloon, with the last bit of air just right out of the balloon, I just felt my energy lift, and I felt my spirit surrender. And in that moment, I knew that I was no longer the choreographer of my life, And either the doctors rescue my body and give me a second chance at life, or this was perhaps my moment of transition. When I woke later that afternoon, I was shocked to discover that I was still alive. When I felt my spirit surrender, I said goodbye to my life, and my mind was now suspended between two very opposite planes of reality. Stimulation coming in through my sensory systems felt like pure pain. Light burned my brain like wildfire, and sounds were so loud and chaotic that I could not pick a voice out from the background noise, and I just wanted to escape. Because I could not identify the position of my body in space, I felt enormous and expansive, like a genie just liberated from her bottle. And my spirit soared free like a great whale gliding through a sea of silent euphoria. Nirvana. I found nirvana. And I remember thinking there's no way I would ever be able to squeeze the enormousness of myself back inside this tiny little body. But then I realized, but I'm still alive. I'm still alive, and I have found nirvana. And if I have found nirvana and I'm still alive, then everyone who is alive can find nirvana. And I pictured a world filled with beautiful, peaceful, compassionate, loving people who knew that they could come to this space at any time and that they could purposely choose to step to the right of their left hemispheres and find this peace. And then I realized what a tremendous gift this experience could be. What a stroke of insight this could be to how we live our lives. And it motivated me to recover.
Have you ever wondered why the memories you have as a child are so different from those you generate now? Why your sensations were so much more vivid? Why everything felt so alive? Well, it is because you were relying almost entirely on the right-hand side of your brain, learning how to move, feel, coordinate and conduct yourself physically. That side of the brain lives only in the moment, and so the memories it has are instinctive. How to breathe, when to blink. It is not until the left-hand side of the brain starts to work in its serial, step-by-step fashion that you begin to understand the passage of time and begin to establish a series of events that can be formed into memories. Your earliest memories may even be pre-chronological, but they're still a series of events. The right-hand brain cannot log those feelings. It can only feed their passage into the left-hand brain cortex. Because the passage of time, your life as you know it, happens only in the left-hand side of the brain. The word chronological itself is a testament to the way we derive logic in a step-by-step fashion. The very essence of decision-making, our life choices, is completely dependent on the left-hand cortex of our brain. And so to be free of reason, to be free of time, is something to which we should all aspire to, at least try for ourselves. Could it really be true that motion, time, and our understanding of their interactions is based entirely upon only one half of our brain? It seems too much to believe, but with this idea, all of the restrictions of the universe might begin to make more sense. These are not restrictions of space-time, but simply of how our left brain cortex interprets the series of events that we can sense. Every measurement we have ever made, every machine we have ever built, and every set of results that we have ever examined has been in the left-hand cortex of our serial processing brain. There will always be an infinite amount to learn, no matter how intense your scrutiny becomes. There is no getting closer to the bottom of an infinitely deep hole. And that this world of the left-hand brain cortex, this world of a series of information, calculated to always be nonsensical and out of one's grasp. And this is the world of the left-hand brain cortex, the world of a series of information, calculated to always be nonsensical and out of one's grasp. But we must still live in the left-hand brain cortex, the serial access world of events that we inhabit every day of our working lives. We must still be physically well in the left-hand brain cortex. If we die in one side of the brain, we die in both. But what of the right-hand brain cortex? How are your dreams affected by this drift towards the right-hand side of your brain? What is the nature of experiencing everything at once? And how does it account for a passage through life where everything is only in the moment? A world where everything is happening all at once? Well, very effectively is the simple answer. The only moment you can affect in the entire infinite series of space and time is the moment where you are. That is where the right-hand side of your brain resides. So to have every part of yourself only in the here and now is a valuable way of life. But what is this world like? Well, for that, we need to start delving into ancient Egyptian, Amazonian, and Sumerian cultures. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is not a morbid book, quite the contrary. It is a set of deeds to undertake so as to give you the best possible chance of keeping yourself, your memories, your perception and awareness intact after you die. But why haven't we heard about this before? This is not an Abrahamic religion telling you to be a good person, but a series of values and tools in order to prepare for your death, to make your death the purpose of your life, to make eternity something to experience rather than to fear, to prepare your mind and your spirit for eternity, to surrender your self-worth and live a life of sincerest honesty in the face of yourself, to be able to encounter every fiber of your own spirit in both sides of your brain, and to be satisfied that you have performed with honor, courage, and integrity. Because in the right-hand brain cortex, we encounter the creatures of our wildest imaginings, creatures that are eternal and can give life or death. A realm where you are bombarded at every point of your energy body with magical, perceptive energy, and where you may encounter inorganic beings that may live almost forever. Beings that can give you the power to defy death, the power to defy shape or form, the power to traverse the stars.
It's called the weighing of the heart.
The ancient Egyptians visualized many challenges waiting for them in the afterlife. One of the most important was to successfully undergo this judgment before the tribunal of Osiris and be found worthy to become one of the blessed dead.
The dead person's heart is the symbol of his intelligence and his emotions and even his mind.
The heart is, of course, where your essence lay and where your sort of good and bad deeds were.
The deceased must hand his heart scarab amulet to Anubis to be weighed against a single feather of the goddess Ma'at.
Ma'at was a goddess who is basically the personification of truth, justice, order, balance.
The heart could not be heavier than truth, but it couldn't be lighter either. It had to balance out. It's interesting that those phrases also continue to exist in our language. You talk about somebody being lighthearted or heavy-hearted.
No deceased wanted to be stuck just relying on their own purity of heart. Hence the Book of the Dead, with the appropriate magic spells that kind of make up the difference, help you get through by the skin of your teeth. But there is an option that you might not pass the test, and if you are not making good use of your Book of the Dead magic spells, you would be thrown to the monster, Amit. She is the devourer of souls, the devourer of the dead.
The job of this monstrous creature, which combined a crocodile, a lion, a hippopotamus, ferocious creatures like that, was to instantly devour any deceased person who was found guilty there in the Hall of Judgment.
If Amit eats your heart, you cease to exist. For the ancient Egyptians, that was the scariest thing. It wasn't punishment, it was not being able to exist at all.
The stone heart scarab, which represents the dead man's heart, is now put to the final test. A test for eternity or oblivion.
So, who are we? We are the life force power of the universe, with manual dexterity and 2 cognitive minds. And we have the power to choose moment by moment who and how we want to be in the world. Right here, right now, I can step into the consciousness of my right hemisphere where I am the life force power of the universe. I am the life force power of the 50 trillion beautiful molecular geniuses that make up my form, at one with all that is. Or I can choose to step into the consciousness of my left hemisphere, where I become a single individual, a solid, separate from the flow, separate from you. I am Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, intellectual, neuroanatomist. These are the we inside of me. Which would you choose? Which do you choose? And when? I believe that the more time we spend choosing to run the deep inner peace circuitry of our right hemispheres, the more peace we will project into the world, and the more peaceful our planet will be. And I thought that was an idea worth spreading. Thank you.
If you are listening to this, then you are at least curious. You're curious as to why no one has ever mentioned any of this before. That the whole outlook of science, education, your working life, and even your retirement is based entirely upon the viewpoint from the left-hand side of your brain. A viewpoint that is separate to that of the right-hand side and is completely different. So different, in fact, that your life in one half is not easily interpreted or even accepted by your life in the other. And yet, if we revert to the most ancient history of civilization on Earth, we see that societies based their whole lives on experience of the right-hand cortex of the brain, and that this was their focus for a truly astonishing purpose: to preserve their own lives after their deaths, to survive the walk of the dead.